All right, we're continuing with polynomials, and what we're going to see here is just going to be evaluating them. So remember, we did this all the way at the beginning. If we're evaluating, there isn't an answer. We're just subbing in with the values that they've given us. So they're giving us, this is essentially three different problems, and we're subbing into this trinomial here. We're going to replace x with 4. And now if you remember, when I sub in, I want to see a parenthesis, at least at first, because you don't want to lose any kind of multiplication. So when you sub in here, there's some natural multiplication that has to be done. And so I'm going to show the parentheses. Now, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally says that this 4 to the second has to be done first. So I've got 5 times 16 now. Okay, now parentheses, when there's a number next to a parenthesis, it means multiplication. So I'm going to do 5 times 16 first because it's the farthest to the left, if you remember my order of operations. So I've got this. So now I've done this one next because it was multiplication, and I've got 4. So I've got 80 minus 32 plus 4 gets me 52. Okay, so I've evaluated that. It wasn't a solution. There's no equal sign. I've just evaluated it and replaced the values of x. So that was A. We're going to do it again here, subbing in a negative 2. And if you don't put the parentheses, you may not realize you're squaring negative 2, all of that. I get minus 8 minus 2 plus 4. Okay, so the exponent has to be done at first, and it's negative 2 squared, which would then become 4. Now, this is multiplication here, so that's next. Okay, now I've got, this is like, I know it's subtraction, we've talked about this, it just owns that sign. So it's like negative 8 and negative 2. So they multiply together to get 16, but it's a positive 16. So since there had been subtraction here, I'm going to show it as positive 16 plus 4. Now I put these together, this is 36 plus 4, I get 40. Okay, I'm running out of room, but we're going to drop in a 0. So 5 times 0 squared minus 8 times 0 plus 4. Now 0 squared is going to be 0, and 0 times 5 is going to go next. All this will become 0 and drop out. Then I've got negative 8 times 0. Well, that's still 0. All of this is going to drop out because of all those zeros, and all I'll have left is a 4. Okay, I think we have a couple of these. Yeah, we have a couple of these, so I'll work this one again, and then you can hopefully pause the video and try the next one. I'm subbing in, so I'm showing my parentheses. This is going to be 3 times 9 now. So I'm going left to right with the multiplication. That's 27. Now, I'm going to save time here. And it's better to go one step at a time if you're learning this here, but I know this isn't going to mess anything up. So I'm going to do my plus 6 minus 15. Okay, so now I'm just going to add across here. It would be left to right, so I do need to start over here on the left before I do the subtraction, but it won't actually mess anything up here. So 33, I would get 18. All right, so that was A. Now let's do B. Dropping in a negative 5. Okay, so I'm doing the exponent first. It's a negative 5, so that becomes 25. Okay, I'm doing this now. It's multiplication, the farthest one on the left. Now I'm going to, because this is a negative, I'm not going to jump ahead. I'm going to just show one step there. So 75. Now it's like positive 2 times negative 5. That is negative 10. And because I had been doing addition, I'm going to show the negative 10 so I don't misunderstand what I've got. Now 75 minus 10, that's 65 minus 15, I get 50 there. All right, we've got one more. We're dropping a 0 in for x. Now this will all drop out because 0 squared is 0, 3 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0, so all of that's gone. It's just going to be negative 15. Okay, pause the video and give this a shot. I'm going to begin. So same exact thing, putting in a negative 2. Now they did do a couple tricky things here, so that's okay. The z's are now negative 2, so that's a little confusing. So I'm squaring negative 2, so that becomes 4. And I have minus 2 plus 2. I'm just going to go ahead and fix that while I'm here. Now multiplication is next, so I have 20 plus 2 minus 4. And then that'll be 22, take away 4, get 18. Okay, they just varied up the order here, but nothing is really any different. Subbing in, the z equals 0. This would all be gone, this is all gone. I'm just left with negative 4. Okay, 2 squared has got to happen first. That becomes 4. Now I'm going to drop the parenthesis because there's no multiplication. I'm just going to show this. I've done that before, so if you don't have to multiply, you don't need that any longer, but I always try to show it. Okay, so I've got 20 minus 2 minus 4. So I subtract this first, I'd have 18. Take away another 4, I'd have 14. All right, they have some word problems here, but it's the same thing. It's the story, but all we're doing is we're dropping the height in for t instead of x. So it's a very common kind of word problem idea here that we were going to turn something into. This would be a physics problem, but the concept is the same. I am putting in 2 instead of t. Okay, so I would square the 2 and I'd get a 4. So I have negative 16 times 4, 32, 64. Negative 64. Okay, so what would that be? 186 or 196? 186. Okay, now this was a word problem. Height of the ball, well, they don't tell us. Oh, it's feet, because it was a 250-foot tall building. Okay, height after t seconds. So we're replacing t in the same way. We're just evaluating this. It's a strange story, but it's the same thing. Okay, negative 16 times 0 squared. 0 is going to square, still be 0. So all that's going to go away. And we would just be left with 250 feet. Okay, try another one here. We're doing the same thing, replacing t with 3. This is 9. Got to do that first, so the same steps. Okay. We get 106. All right, I think there's only one type left in this where we're going to be evaluating it for 2 different idle-knows. We're putting in x is 4 and y is 6. It doesn't change anything. We just had 2 different variables. The concept will be the same. Now I'm subbing everything in with parentheses again. Now exponents are first. Now 6 times 16 is 96. Now I'm going to just go ahead and multiply all 3 of these things together. 15 times 4 times 6. And I get 360. Now I add those together and I get 456. And this is feet again. Okay, same thing. Just evaluating for 2 different idle-knows. So I'm going to sub those in. So exponent first. This gets me 216. I'm going to do all three of the other ones multiplied at the same time. 15 times 6 times 4 gets me 360. Add those together, and I get 576, and it is feet. Okay, one more. If you want to give this a shot, pause it. I'm going to get started, subbing it in there. All right, everything's been subbed in, so 6 times 25. I'd do the exponents first. 6 times 25 would be 150. Now I'm going to multiply all three. 600. So this is 750 feet. Okay, just evaluating polynomials, just subbing in. Just be careful, you put them in parentheses so that you don't lose any signs, any multiplication that needs to be done.